Who do you trust? That's a big question, isn't it? Who do you trust in this world of, what do we call it? The truth movement, the freedom movement, the people who are standing up for the other people in society. Who do you trust? Now, the reason I say that is ever since I've been sitting in this chair and talking about and questioning the things that have been going on in this world, particularly the weird stuff that the so-called benevolent and kind-hearted government seem to be throwing at us, and we're talking about the digital IDs, the 15-minute cities, the net zero debacle, the fake myth of global warming and all of that, and all the other things that are coming down, the digital bank central currency, the digital pound apparently is supposed to be the replacement for, well, it's not the replacement for cash, it's just there to go alongside cash. Yeah, maybe it's there to sort of knock cash on the head. And of course, we want to keep cash. We want to have some form of monetary substance that is real and not centrally controlled by a government. But anyway, let's not worry about that for the moment. So I'm asking, who do you trust? Now, you may say, well, of course, I don't trust the government because they seem to be completely against us. And I absolutely agree with you. You only have to look at their policies and think, hang on, is that the benefit for us? All these things they're pushing down, trying to sort of be a nanny state for us? Well, more of a dictating state than a nanny state. I think poor old nanny's been shoved in jail and now we've got the ogre from hell. But anyway, now the reason I ask about trust in this episode is because since I've been sitting down here and talking about these things, a few people have said to me, oh, you know, you can't trust so-and-so, he's a shill. Now, that's a word I'd never heard before, a shill. I didn't even know what it meant. And I did in one episode, I remember, look it up in the Oxford English Dictionary. It didn't seem too bad, but I think it has a bit more of a slightly nefarious connotation these days. So a shill seems to be somebody who is working for the other side, but pretending to be on your side. And so he seems plausible, but there's something about him. And it seems to me that some of these shills, you can work out who they are. Another thing is the controlled opposition, which may or may not be the same thing. I'm not really sure. But I have noticed, as I have been watching certain people on YouTube and in the media, or in various articles and stuff, I've noticed that some of what they say is, it seems to be plausible, laudable and trustworthy, and yet somebody will say to me on perhaps one of my WhatsApp contacts or in an email or even in the street when talking to somebody, and you know, sometimes people do recognize me now, it's quite amazing, and they say, hey Richard, do you watch so and so? And I say, yeah, he's a good bloke. And he said, yeah, that's what everybody thinks, but he's controlled opposition. And I think, no, really, that is a surprise. And I never quite know whether the person they're talking about is really what the first person has just told me, or whether the person who told me that actually knows or is just suspicious. And it's very difficult. So that's why I'm asking, who do you trust? Do you just trust everybody at face value? I mean, for example, do you trust me? Now, you shouldn't do. You should, anything I say. Now, I make loads of mistakes, and I know that. I'm only human, and I'm not pretending that I'm an expert in anything. I have no degrees in anything. My qualifications are pretty abysmal. I was a 1970s comprehensive child, so that should tell you as much as you need to know about me. But I luckily, I have a questioning mind, and I hope that I'm critically thinking. Now, I know if you look in the comments, there are some people, of course, they don't particularly like me, or they think that I'm telling lies, or putting out rubbish, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. So, you know, you're welcome to your opinion. I have no problem with you welcoming that, as long as you're putting it over politely. We all want to live in a polite society and a nice world, don't we, as best we can. So there's no need to be rude, but you're welcome to disagree with me, to think that what I'm saying is not true, and all of that. I have no problem with that, because we're all entitled in a fair world to have our point of view, just as I, of course, am entitled to have my point of view. Now, whether you trust me or not, to think that I am doing this, say, in a laudable and in an honest, honourable state, that's up to you. I can't persuade you otherwise. All I can do is do my stuff. But there are other people I know that I have put on a pedestal and thought, my God, he's so intelligent, he's so clever, and thank God he's on our side, that somebody else has whispered to me and said, no, he's not. And I've found this very tricky, because I don't know whether he is or isn't on our side, or whether the person, as I say, has told me he is or isn't on their side. And maybe the person who's telling me this stuff is actually the controlled opposition, trying to push me away from people I thought I trusted, if you see what I mean. So, but there's a number of people, so it's very difficult to sort of work out who you trust. And you basically, I think you have to have your own gut reaction. Now, one of the key things at this stage, I think, that is important in order for trust to be worthy, is if people are offering real solutions. I watch a number of people, and some people are just negative. And it seems to me that there is a movement to keep people feeling fearful. And if you're watching people and all the time, they tell you what's coming down the pipe, and they make out that it's fearful and that you should be frightened by it, and that's it. And they're not offering any uplifting, spiritually rewarding solutions, or just hope. Just hope. I think those people, I'm not saying they are controlled opposition or that they're shills, but I think now is the time not to continually oppress people with fear, that we really do need to, whatever the solution is, I mean, even if it is just hopeful, even if there are practical things, and there are lots of practical things that we can do. I made a video the other day about the common law court trial by jury, which is a very important thing, pushing back against can't even say the word now, tyranny. Standing up for ourselves, getting out there and trying to grow our own food, sourcing organic food, standing up for ourselves, being honourable, doing the right thing. There are many hopeful things that we can do. We can protect ourselves in many ways, such as filtering our water and not drinking stuff straight out of the tap, for example. We can get ourselves de-Googled phones. There's lots of different things that we can do, and we need people to help others, to advise and to guide people in the right way. Of course, we don't want to follow advice of those who are very negative or controlled opposition. So if you know anybody who's a bit wary, of course, you're welcome to put them in the comments. But again, you know, I know that there are bots and strange people in the comments. For example, and I always try to make people aware of this, I will not in the comments ask you to WhatsApp me or Telegram me. These are bots or scammers, or maybe even the 77th Brigade, I don't know, or other people who have nefarious reasons to impersonate me. So please don't fall for those, because I will not do that for you. Because of the number of comments, I usually only get a chance to put some hearts on. Occasionally I will reply where I can. Same with the emails. I do my best to keep up with them, although I think there's about 2,400 or something emails that I still haven't got to. So if I haven't got to, I really apologise. So I'm interested in your views about controlled opposition. Who are these people? How do we know? Are there telltale signs? We need to help one another, because for those people who are a bit wary, we need to find real solutions that will help us all going into the future. So thank you for watching, and yes, make sure that you have that gut feeling for somebody rather than just trusting everybody blindly.